Show.
Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
Hard to believe it's already Friday, the 23rd day of January, 2015. I'm your host, Alex Jones. We'll be live here for the next 3 hours. We don't have any guests today because it's Open Line Friday, the customary tradition of talk radio that we occasionally follow. So we will have open phones today, wide open phones, first-time callers, long-time callers, people that agree, disagree, free-for-all, any subjects you want to raise. If you got questions, comments, whatever the case is, the phones will be open throughout the transmission today. The toll-free number to join us is 800-259-9231, 800-259-9231. Where to begin with all of this wild news that we have here? Billionaire lecture surfs in Davos, quote, Americans' lifestyle expectations are far too high. Harvard professor at Davos says government mosquito drones will extract your DNA. Quote, privacy is dead. Academic tells Davos elite. Infowars.com story that's on drudgereport.com right now. Bill Gates pushes cashless society at Davos. That little stack all ties together. We're going to be getting to that. Man threatened with 6 months in jail sentence for owning a windmill. That ties into all these other reports. State of Mississippi wants to punish an 88-year-old doctor for treating the poor out of his car. Boston city employees barred from hating on Olympics. Mayor sees free speech still an act. Mayor attempts to silence dissent with authoritarian decree. That's just some of the news. Bombings kill 14 soldiers, militiamen in Iraq. That ties into U.S. trainers to deploy along with armored vehicles to Ukraine to back up Ukrainian government against the Ruskies. U.S. fears chaos as government of Yemen falls. U.S. and Iraq planning strike to reclaim Mosul from Islamic State. It's always good to turn your phone off when you get ready to go live on air. Alex. Lecturing myself here. Oligarch justice, powerful pedophiles roam free as Barrett Brown returns to jail. He was given 60-plus months in prison for reporting on WikiLeaks, basically. Under Obama, we have never, since the time of Lincoln, seen such a war on the press. And by and large, mainstream media is still completely sycophantic and lapdog towards Barack Obama. You can say, well, Barack Obama's a puppet. Well, regardless, he's the, quote, commander-in-chief, and the guy is dismantling what was left of the country. And then God help us when the Republicans put in Jeb Bush or Chris Christie or somebody, they're just going to grease the skids even more. Speaking of police state, I see so many horrible things police are doing around the country that it makes me cringe. I don't sit there and go, oh, goody, goody, gumdrop. I've got something that really makes the police look bad. Quite frankly, 15, 20 years ago, I did kind of behave like that. And the reason I talk so much about this is it's the key to everything. If the public can understand this, if the police can understand this, if I can articulate it, we can wrap our mind around it. A lot of folks do understand it. But if we can communicate this message, I'm telling you, it could bring down the corrupt system and restore the republic to a great extent. Doesn't mean we'll be in some panacea utopia. But I got footage of this UFC fighter pulled over and tased for asking the cops for ID. But that's not even the issue. They charge him with assaulting the police, and it's all on video. He didn't touch him. And in this is the essence of what will make this country collapse. And it just goes into how horrible Benjamin Netanyahu is, according to the White House. And there's all these moves in Israel to basically indict Netanyahu right now. Whether you love Benjamin Netanyahu or hate him, there's major political realignment happening all over the world. So there are some power structure shifts beneath the surface. But the last few years, this tiff between Israel and the Likudniks and the United States is total fantasy land. Now, there are battles over who runs things. That's always going on. Power struggles. But the overall agenda to turn radical Islamists loose all over the Middle East to destabilize the region is bipartisan, Republican and Democrat. It's bipartisan in Israel between the Likudniks and Labor and others in the Knesset. And Saudi Arabia and Israel are in a lip lock. And Israel in the Golan Heights has been backing the Free Syrian Army for the last 3-4 years. So Israel's involved in all of this, and it's just a fact. And it's not a defense of Israel. It's not an attack of Israel. Everybody's got this hot-button issue of one side or the other. I'm saying it's immoral and evil for Turkey, for Saudi Arabia, for the United States, for France, for England, for Germany, for NATO, for Interpol, for the Pentagon to be supporting the Syrian rebels who have been and are 95% Al-Qaeda, no matter what name they give it to confuse the public. And even the Iraqi government has caught the U.S. dropping air shipments of weapons to Al-Qaeda hundreds of times, and they keep saying it's an accident. No, it's not an accident. And the military knows that since they refuse to go to the air bases and give them the weapons, they're ordered to just airdrop at coordinates now. And I'm getting that back from sources as well. You've heard some of them here on air that are current CIA pilots flying weapons. And you ask, how on earth could they come on air? Because there's white hat, black hat, and the white hats are protected to a certain extent. Talking about Tosh Plumley and others. Still flying weapons today to the Middle East. He's interviewed us twice when he's on the tarmac about to lead a whole group of C-130s from Texas to the Middle East loaded with weapons. He's done the interviews from the cockpit. And you've seen all these generals and people come out and say they don't want to back Al-Qaeda. You saw Dempsey 3 months ago say that in a Congressional Armed Services Senate committee hearing. We played the clip probably 10 times. Lindsey Graham and people are saying, we're not involved with Al-Qaeda. Right. None of our allies are. And he goes, yeah, of course they are. They're all backing them. And Dempsey just actually turns his hands up and goes, with the international gesture of like, why are you feeding this bull? I'm not going to sit here and lie under oath for you, Graham. And Graham looks scared because let me tell you, this is a real come-to-Jesus moment that's been going on for 2 years in the U.S. military because they know we're back in the worst over there, and they don't sleep good at night thinking about that. They've done a lot of really hardcore stuff in their careers, and they don't like doing something purely, openly evil, where there's no debating it's bad. For all this Machiavellian mumbo-jumbo about end justifies the means. Really, the end is to remove Assad and a government that was democratizing and where women can go to college and where Christians and Jews can live in peace, to turn it over to a bunch of people to kill hundreds of thousands and blow up every church they find and chop Catholic priest heads off on television and eat hearts. There is no debating it. It'd be one thing if they used evil groups to overthrow somebody evil and then took them out. That'd be bad enough. Because anytime you use evil to fight evil, you turn out getting something worse in the end. That's just the metaphysical law, ladies and gentlemen. I use the allegory of the ring of Mordor, the ring of power. One ring to rule them all, and in the darkness bind them. But all of them were deceived. For in the darkness of Mount Doom, one ring was forged, and in it his hatred and malice was placed. One ring to find them, one ring to rule them all, one ring in the darkness bind them. And by the way, that is what the internet was designed to do. That's why it was rolled out. It is the thing of internets. It is the thing of the internet. Not trying to channel George W. Bush or Rick Perry, start calling it tweeters. It is the smart dust. It is the RFIDs. It is the grid that will interface and surveil everything and then predict the future and then control the future. In Google's own words from 14 years ago, at publicly declassified DARPA meetings, you can pull this up. Just type in Google plan to create AI. Google's master plan was to create AI that could see the future. Google is a governmental corporate merger strategy system. I saw the cover of the Chronicle this week, and it was like, can Google save Austin and bridge the gap and bring us internet we need? Oh, save us. There it is, Wired Magazine. Google's grand plan to make your brain irrelevant. It is already artificially intelligent. In 2014, they admitted they'd already achieved it for all intents and purposes. It interfaces with you.